knows what's going to show up sound-wise. Sadly, it's an incredibly foggy, gloomy day in Lander. So my hope is that tomorrow when I post more videos that we'll have all that beautiful natural light coming down into the shala. Alas, we work with what we have, we meet ourselves where we are, and we do what we can. So today, this video that we're in right now is just going to be a simple Vinyasa practice. Vinyasa just creating something special with breath and movement. So some traditional forms, Namaskar, standing forms. Session probably be about 30 minutes. So create some space around you. You need a mat if you have one, a block, or maybe a thick book, or a coffee table, and maybe some blankets. Anyway, just kind of set an aid station around you so you can reach for assistance when you need. And let me know how these videos are working for you. Again, we're shooting from the hip. I just want to get some content out there so that we can take care of ourselves while we're laying low. All right, so go ahead and come to the front of your mat and find that position of equal standing. So samastitihi. Some may also refer to this as tadasana, but that taking the shape of a mountain. So we have the broad base of foundation. We feel the soles of the feet settling into the soft earth and the warm sand. Almost take the visualization that the bones of the legs could breathe. So we're pulsing energy up and down the legs. We roll the palms open and let the heart space awaken. And then connect with that juicy, beautiful breath. We're so grateful for the breath. Fantastic. On the next inhalation, let the breath begin and then reflect the movement of the breath as you reach arms overhead. And then exhale, turn the palms down, breathe the arms back down to the side. Good. Incorporate the full body. Allow yourself to be juicy during this practice. This isn't about being rigid or strong. It's about being in connection and just honoring where the body is and what it is you need to access, what you're seeking in this practice today. Exhale, hands come back down. Inhale, rising back up. Exhale, hands down. Beautiful. This time as we inhale, let's bring the palms together overhead. And then with the out breath, hinge the hips. Pull the hands down the central channel and find yourself bowing over the legs. Hang out here for a cycle of breath. Just get to know the story of the back body, back of the legs, back of the hips. Take another breath here. And then when you sense inhalation coming, fingertips can rise up the shins until you find a flattened spine. And then exhale, fold back down. Both hands come to the mat. Step the right leg back. Lower the right knee down. And let's take a nice big sweeping arms overhead. Good. Exhale, hands come back down. Step the left leg back. And shift weight forward. Step the right foot to meet the hands. Left knee goes down. And inhale, rise up. Exhale, hands back down. Step the right leg back to meet the left. And let's take a couple of pulses. Downward facing dog into plank. And again, don't worry if you don't know the different lingo and the language. You will eventually find the place of just intuitive movement. And we're going to go slow enough and often enough that it'll start to come together. So let's take another pulse. Rising up and back, downward facing dog. And then rolling forward to plank. Good. Pause here in plank. See if you could create a sandwich with the front and back body, as though you're trying to cradle the spine. And then bend your knees, bend your elbows, and pull your heart down to the earth. Uncurl your toes. Take your fingertips way out wide. And let's take a gentle pulsing cobra. So coming up, maybe 40% of what you would normally rise up into your back bend. As you exhale, lengthen the belly out and down. Let's do that 2 more times. Inhale, rise up. And exhale, lower down. One more time. Remember to keep it juicy. Let yourself just be in that state of flow and be curious. Exhale, lower down. Hands come back under shoulders. Curl toes under. Transition through a hands and knee position. Keep the hips tall, but walk the fingers out. And take a bow through the upper arm bones, coming into pranam. Easily one of the most nourishing positions, in my opinion. Give yourself another breath or two here. On the next inhalation, let your head float up. Walk the hands back underneath you a wee bit. Curl toes under. And then lift your seat up towards the ceiling. Stay high up on the balls of the feet. Let your head heavy between the upper arm bones. Let yourself sigh deliciously as much as you like. This is your practice. You've carved out this time. So make sure you get the greatest value of this time. Go ahead and pulse the heels up and down. Let it feel good. Bend the knees as much as you need to. And then for fun, let's rise up on the balls of the feet. Let's take both sets of heels over to the right, lower them down, and take a big, long, juicy stretch through the left ribs. Great. Inhale the heels up, over, and around. Drop the heels down to the left side. Lengthen out the right side of the body. And again, you don't even have to look at me. Just kind of intuitively get playful on your mat. All right, let's come back through center. And now I want you to bend your knees towards the mat, but don't let them touch, just to the hover, then look to your hands. That's where we're headed. And then take as many steps as you need to come to the front of the mat. Beautiful. Let's lift halfway up. So draw fingertips up the shins, find a lengthening spine, and then exhale, hug upper body to lower body. On the next in-breath, rise all the way up. Sweep the arms overhead, palms come together. And exhale, we come back down to the heart. And just simply pausing for a moment. Next out breath, release the hands down. So stepping into Surya Namaskar A. Those of you familiar, you're getting ready to step into flow. Those who aren't, we'll just hang on, and here we go. Roll the palms open. Find that place of standing, of settling in your feet. And then on an in-breath, let the arms come up overhead. The out-breath hinges the hips. We pull the hands down the central channel and come into our forward fold. As we breathe in, we inflate the spine away from the legs. And then as we exhale, we fold deeply, both hands to the mat. Take both legs all the way back to find your plank. Let yourself arrive. And then bend knees, bend elbows. Take your body all the way to the mat. Uncurl the toes. Let's take one Cobra this time. I love taking them wide because my shoulders are really jacked from years of abuse. So I love having space in my shoulders. And then lower back down. Hands come back underneath shoulders. Curl toes under. Let's all take a breath or two in pranam. So head reaching through the upper arm bones and hips stay stacked over the knees. Remember, there is no hurry. Connecting with the breath, connecting with the energy. How does it feel to have your forehead connected to the earth? Almost as though you could release all the burdens and worries in your mind. Might as well give it a try. It sounds like a great idea to me. Then on the next inhalation, let's all find downward facing dog, which essentially is just an upside down V. Hips are taller than hands and feet. And just let those ears hang between the upper arm bones. Instead of pressing out and away, let yourself settle into the shoulders. Let's take 2 more breaths here. On your next inhalation, lift the heels tall. Exhaling, bend your knees. Shift your gaze to your hands. and then just float the feet forward. Inhaling, come halfway up, and exhale, fold deeply, hugging upper body to lower body. Inhale, we rise, sweep the arms overhead, palms come together, and exhale, come all the way through the central channel. Those of you who like to advance your practice by introducing Chaturanga, an upward facing dog, go for it. I'm going to stay here and keep it soft and juicy. Inhale, arms rise. Exhale again, take that hinge, deliciously folding over the legs. Inhale, lift and lengthen, coming halfway up. And then exhale, folding down, both hands to the mat, both legs reach long to plank. Roll slightly forward on the mounds of the big toes, and then bend your knees, bend your elbows, hug your heart down. On an inhalation, gently rise up, lengthening, broadening shoulders. Exhale, reach the navel point out and down as you come to the floor. Hands back under shoulders. Transition either into pranam or downward facing dog. This is where we begin to honor the gifts of our own practice so that we can meet our body and our energetic connection right where we are. Let that breath have some balance. Samavriti is the evening waves of breath. And that's how we turn this physical practice into more of a meditative practice. So reminding ourselves it's not about how the forms look, what we can and cannot execute, but it's what we can find within through opening the body and connecting with the breath. On the next inhalation, lift the heels. Exhale, bend your knees, shift your gaze to the front of the mat, and float the feet forward. Inhale, lift and lengthen the spine away. Exhale, bow deeply. Inhale, let's rise. Sweep the arms all the way overhead, palms come together. And exhale, come all the way through. Let's do that same series one more time. Inhale, rise. Exhale, take the fold. Inhale, lift and lengthen. Just find space. And exhale, bow deeply. Hands to the mat. Take the legs long to plank. And then bend knees, bend elbows. Hug your heart down. Inhale, we rise. Lift that beautiful heart. And exhale, lowering down. Either finding pranam once more or transitioning all the way into downward facing dog. Create your practice. And let's find 3 more breaths wherever you are. Reminding yourself to stay curious with the body and always honoring the breath. On your next inhalation, let the heels float up. Exhale, bend knees, shift your gaze to your hands, and step the feet forward, or float, or hop. Inhale, lift and lengthen. Exhale, bow down. Inhale, we rise. Sweep those beautiful arms overhead, palms come together. And exhale, come all the way through. Fantastic. Take a cleansing breath here. Inhale, rise. Exhale, lower. And simply pause. A lot of times during the practice, we get so consumed with what's next, what's next, what's next. And the practice is not getting fast forwarded into the future, but staying right here in present moment, allowing this to be enough. On your next inhalation, let your eyes open. And let's move into some standing form. So we'll keep the right foot forward, but take a generous step back with left leg. Good. Pull length up the entirety of the leg bones. So the right toes are facing the front edge of your mat. Your left toes are turning in, almost angling towards the front left corner of the mat. So just push that heel back. Good. And then notice the ability of the pelvis to kind of articulate on top of the leg bones. So Trikonasana, open the arms out nice and long. And take a breath in and out. Next inhalation, glide the right arm out just enough that you could invite the fold, the deepening of the right side of the body. Right arm goes down, left arm goes tall. So the right hand can rest on your shin. It can come onto the floor. It can come onto a block or a book, even the side of the coffee table. Same thing with this left arm. If there's a shoulder story, it just doesn't feel nice to have your arm overhead, let it rest on your waist. See if you could open the space between the collarbones. And then let's just enjoy being here for another few breaths. The breath will just organically inform us how to adjust the body to find that place of balance, that union, where we have that little nanosecond of ah. Now, next inhalation, I want you to rise back up. Come on back up to standing. Turn your right toes in. Turn your left toes out. You'll be facing the back edge of your mat. Find that sense of equal standing, even though our legs are separated. Inhaling. Exhaling. Remember Vinyasa, it's that threading of breath. On the next inhalation, glide out through the left arm. Lower the left fingertips down to the shin, the block, the floor, whatever's available, but let yourself have space. Don't create an expectation that you're not doing it because you're not all the way to the floor. What's more important is the beauty that comes from within as you start to honor where your body is, how you meet it, and let that be enough. Check out what's happening in the back of the neck. If you're getting all bound up, let yourself wag that head around a little bit. Love this pose. Next inhalation, let's come back up. Open the arms wide. Now turn the left toes in, right toes out. Let's come into a nice deep lunge. So pulse that right knee. And then find that sense of settling, right? We find the perfect place for our body today. Gently open that right knee just a wee bit more. And then take your arms out long. So Virabhadrasana 2 is where we'll start, setting the intention to open our heart. Good. And then take that right hand down to just above the right knee. Good. Left hand comes to the waist and just roll those right ribs under. Let's take that left arm and just swim it around. Maybe you're a backstroke, maybe you're a forward crawl. Just let that shoulder have some locomotion. Good. Now, where we're going to end with reaching that arm over our head towards the wall. So as we do that, I'm going to exaggerate. It's like the left side of the body is real contracted. And as we lengthen and reach from the outer edge of the left foot through the left fingertips, we find all this space in the ribs, the rim of the pelvis. That right arm can either stay right where it is, or if you're curious, you can lower it down inside the right leg. And again, find that balance. So if you had to stay here for many, many moments, it would be a-okay. On the next in breath, straighten the right leg, sweep the left arm up. Turn right toes in, turn left toes out. And again, find that pulsation. Just taking the time, like peeling these layers away to find the juice of the practice. Good. Soften into the lunge. Yeah, then take those arms, lengthen them out from shoulders. Beautiful. Open that heart. And then let the left arm come down to the left knee. Before you deepen anything else, can you roll the left ribs under a little bit, like you're trying to shine your heart towards the side wall? And then let that right arm take a swing. remember, we're going from that sense of contraction to the energy of expansion. Right arm comes over the head. And take your time and just arrive here. Pull yourself out of that sense of rigidity and find the place of curiosity, of exploration. Left hand can stay right where it is, or maybe you want to go down. And on the next inhalation, left leg straightens, right arm comes up. Let the arms come down. Turn and face the front of your mat. Step your feet together. Okay. Now, all your toes are going to continue to face the front edge of their mat. And you're still going to have about 2 fists between your feet. You may or may not want to block or have some sort of prop nearby. I want you to slide your right foot back about 2.5 feet. Left hand goes on the waist, right arm reaches tall, and we're going to bow out and over. Good. Pause about halfway. Let your gaze go out beyond your toes. And then take that right hand across the left shin. It can physically rest on the shin, it can come to the floor, or it can come to your block. And then lean forward, but peel the left side of the hip back. As it peels back, let the right ribs roll under. This might be enough. Check in with your breath. And if the breath has balance, then you're exactly where you should be. If the breath is kind of kinked and constrained, you might have gone a little bit too deep. Some of us may even explore extending the left arm tall. And again, find a way to make it feel good. It takes a while for all of the proprioceptors in the body to figure out what this new alignment is. It's trying to redefine center. It's another gift of the practice. On next exhalation, cast your gaze down. And then on the inhalation, just windmill the arms up. It's going to automatically start to turn you. And that's just what you're going to do. Turn to face the back of your mat. The right foot will stay forward. The left foot stays behind. Right hand on the waist. Left arm reaches tall. And then take that bow once more. Maybe the left hand goes on the right shin. Maybe it goes to the floor. Trust your intuition to adjust, navigate, and find center. Allow that drawing back and peeling open of the right hip to invite the left ribs to drop down and under the body. That right hand can stay on the waist, the right arm can reach tall. The gaze can be down to the side. Again, listen to the wisdom of your breath to find the place that feels right for you. Next exhalation, cast your gaze down. Inhaling, windmill yourself back up. Again, find yourself turning all the way to the front of the mat and step yourself forward. Okay. Inhale, arms come overhead. Exhale, hands back down. Again, inhale, overhead. Exhale, down. One more time. Inhale. Exhale, down. Right foot stays forward. Send the left leg back. Let the left heel rise up off the mat. Good. Find Crescent Lunge. So deepening the lunge, let the arms just float up. Some of us might have narrow arms. Some of us may have wide. Again, if shoulder story comes in, some of us might be on the waist. And just find that sense of settling in. Again, the practice doesn't have to be advanced in the representation of physical forms. The advancing of the practice is actually the surrendering of the forms. So allow the simplicity of the poses to offer that invitation of inner simplicity. So again, wherever you are, let's find another breath. Now from here, we're going to take a rotation. You stay where you are. I'm going to turn so you can have a little bit better visual. We're going to take a rotation. So I'm going to turn towards the front right corner of my mat, and I'm going to bring my left arm just above my right knee. Maybe I even touch my heart. Right hand's on my waist. And I'm going to see if I can lengthen and lift the navel to deepen the rotation of my spine without losing my lunge. My lunge doesn't want to come up. Well, it might want to, but let's not let it. See if you can sink back down. Really press through that left heel. Good. Now let all those crazy mechanics go and just find your breath. Allow yourself time to settle. Allow this to be enough. Now, transitioning here, we're going to pivot, look down to our right foot, release the arms. See if we can keep the lunge and float the hands back up. And then exhale, straighten right leg. Fingertips come down either side of the foot. If the floor isn't available, just make sure you have some props so that you can raise the floor up. And that left heel is certainly welcome to stay hovering. If you want to weight it, you could step it in a wee bit and come into a deeper fold. Just hanging out. Good. Now to rise up, I want you to take the top of your head and reach it towards the top of the foot. Then out beyond the toes. Stand down into your feet. Slowly rise up through the strength of the legs. And step your feet together. Beautiful. That right leg is going to go back and back, finding that pulse of a lunge. Okay, I'm going to switch again. I've kind of gotten a little off, so I want you to be able to see. So your left foot is in front, your right leg is extended, long behind. Left hand's on your waist, take the right arm overhead. Beautiful. Pivot towards the front left corner of your spine, your mat, and the elbow rests down on the left thigh. Now I want you to lift and lengthen the navel to deepen the rotation of the ribs. Maybe that heart connects with your hand. Find the sense of settling. Find the balance of breath. Slow it down. And then with your next exhalation, cast your gaze down. And then rise up. Let's spend a few breaths on this side in Crescent Lunge. See if you can notice a different quality in your breath underneath the ribs. And then on the next inhalation, simply step forward onto the left foot and let the right foot meet it. Inhale, the arms come overhead. Exhale, hands come down. Step wide towards the side edge of your mat. All your toes facing that side edge. Bring your hands to your waist. Inhale, lift and lengthen the heart. Let your tail drop heavy. Take all of that lengthened space. Fold out and over. This always feels so nice. So let the upper body just take all of the weight from the skull. Skull creates this amazing traction for the spine. And again, try not to lock in the lower legs. Let yourself have softness, juiciness, ultimate yumminess. And then let the elbows fold into the creases. Well, that didn't make any sense. Let your hands come into the creases of your elbows and gently sway side to side. Release the back of your neck. We have a tendency to always want to be on alert, kind of craning, straining through the back neck. But let your neck release. Let your head hang. Let yourself hear and feel the breath. And slow yourself until you come into center. And just hang with the stillness, the heaviness. Let there be slack in your jaw, your teeth, your tongue. On your next inhalation, let your fingertips come lightly down onto the mat. As you press into them, just lift the spine away from the legs. Brings in a little bit of sense of equilibrium into the head. And then as we go down again, we're going to fold down. Maybe you're able to reach out to the big toes with your first two fingers. If so, go ahead and connect there. If not, take hold of the ankles, the calves. Some of us may need to come up and just support above the knees. That might be our fold today. And they're all exquisite. So wherever you are, find that sense of anchoring. Don't let go of what you have hold of, but lift your heart away, so you're lengthening the spine. Then, as you bow, bend the elbows, pull the elbows out to the sides, the front and back of your mat, and draw yourself into a deepening fold. We'll be here for 2 more breaths. Now, with this next inhalation, I want you to come halfway up, just like we did. If you can, exhale, bring your hands to your waist. Feel the strength in your legs. Press down through your feet and rise the rest of the way up. Fantastic. Either hop the legs together, step them together, but somehow turn yourself towards the front edge of your mat, and we'll all meet there. Beautiful. Inhale, arms come overhead. Exhale, just breathe it out. Good. Twice more. Inhale, rise. And once more. Inhale. And exhale. And then just pause. Just soak it in. Notice all the sensations of the body, the different vibrations, the quality of your breath, the quality of your mind. Welcome it all. Beautiful. Next in-breath, let your eyes open if it closed. We're going to step into just a few standing balances. So the first one we'll come into is Vrikshasana, which is the form of the tree. For me, I am comfortable like being on the wood. If you have carpet, maybe if there's a floor somewhere, you can move over to the floor. I just like that sense of grounding. I like feeling the surface of the earth under my foot. So we're going to come into standing on your right leg and let the left toes just rest on the floor. That left knee is just kind of turned out. We're not sinking into the hip, we're drawing energy up. Beautiful. Now, those of you who have experience with this form know that we have an invitation to bring that foot up inside the thigh, on the calf, or stay on the floor. So many different ways that a tree grows. So you meet yourself where you are. You create the practice that's in alignment with your body. And let's build the foundation. So just from the waist down. So we have that equality of opposition. We have the foot pressing into the thigh. The thigh energetically is pressing into the foot, just like when we take our hands and lightly press them together. That's the sense of engagement we want. Then if we want to deepen and lengthen through the upper body, we can come to the heart. We can come to the waist. We might even find ourselves taking arms overhead, bringing hands together. Again, we spend enough time here seeking the balance that just intuitively we start to create the form. It's like we're rabbit ears. We're trying to get a good reception of a channel. And we know, even if it's just for a split second, when we find it, because everything comes into balance. The breath, the body, mind, all the energetic layers of the body. And then let's return back to the earth. Stay within the practice. Shift over onto the left foot. Let the right toes rest on the ground. Let this be enough. If this is where you are today, let this be the most exquisite tree you've ever experienced. If curiosity knocks on your door, then invite that right leg to come up inside the thigh. Again, finding that little equality of opposition, but find the place that's in alignment for you. We know this by balancing the breath. We allow the breath to be the root of our practice. And then we decide if the arms would like to have some expression. And that brings us joy. Maybe we even have a little glimmer of a smile across our face. And then let's come back down. Standing evenly on both feet. Let's come into a little extension of the legs. So we're going to reach the legs out in front. If you don't have a strap, see if you can find a knee sock or a belt, something that you could hook around the sole of the foot that helps your arms become longer. Otherwise, let's shift our weight over onto our right foot. Bend the left knee up. So bring it up into a hover. Take your arms overhead. See if you notice that the navel point just below it can kind of draw in and up to stabilize the leg bone. Then bring your hands back down. This might be all the further you go, or you might take the left fingers, hook the left toe. See how tall you can stand there. Good. Then you might even take that heel. Start to reach it towards the front wall. Find as much length as you can, growing tall through the crown of the head. Beautiful. Now, for fun, see if you could let go of your toe, but hover the leg. And then take that leg back down. Stand evenly both feet. Bring the arms overhead. Deep breath. And exhale, come back down. Fantastic. Shift your weight over on to the left foot. Bring the right knee up. Yeah. So bring it up center. Good. Bring the arms up overhead. Lift the knee a little bit more. Find that length and engagement. Hold the knee up. Bring the arms down. Good. Then reach down. If you want to, take that right toe. Then if you want to, extend the leg out. Lift the chin. Find a little bit of a dignified posture through your heart. Smiles always help. And then see if you could hover that leg. Wah! So let go of the foot, hold it up, and then lower it down. Feet on the floor. Inhale, arms overhead. Exhale, hands come down. If you've never tried to video yourself and teach a class and try not to look at yourself in the screen without becoming completely distracted, that's what's happening right now. Fantastic. Let's take it to the floor. So to descend to the floor, what we're going to do, rise up on the balls of the feet. Heels are lifted. And then we're going to keep the heels lifted and descend down. So some of us might descend with hands on waist. Others, if you want a little bit of a challenge, arms come overhead and lower down. Fantastic. See if you could lengthen through the arms, open armpits. Good. Bring the hands down. Inside the knees, open the arms wide, knees open wide. I want you to lean over to the right, walk the right arm out. And then I want you to take your gaze and start to turn upward and let that left arm reach with your view. You can either stay here or that left arm can come around back behind you, tucking into the crease of the thigh. down. If I didn't say lower your heels already, lower your heels. Otherwise you get A+. Take that left arm, slide it inside the left leg. Take the gaze, slowly start to pivot it. Notice as you start to rotate the neck, the spine rotates, the ribs roll under, and that arm reaches up. Wherever any awkwardness, any guarding, any holding tends to arise, see if you could find a way to soften it. Create some space. Give yourself time to settle into all of this. And then gaze come down, hand comes down. Rise back up. Take your hands behind you and find a seat. Extend the legs out in front. Dandasana. So the legs are long, ankles are flexed. We come into the form of the staff. So fingertips are slightly behind the hips. Stand down into your palms. Open the collarbones. And then simply take the glide of the neck out and over the throat and bow the chin towards the chest. Let the movement of the in-breath be that which lifts the chest towards the chin. And then on next inhalation, rise back up. Beautiful. Left leg is going to come inside right thigh. Left knee will fold open. If this isn't, if there's a lot of real estate between your knee and the floor, then take one of those blankets and tuck it underneath the leg bone. So the leg has something to lay down onto, okay? Because we want the energy to be going downward, not pulling up. All right, turn again to face the front of the mat. Arms come overhead. And then lift and lengthen, bow out over that foot. And take the next couple of breaths just settling in. There's a lot that's going to show up through the kidney space, through the seat, through the back of the leg. On this next inhalation, hold on to whatever you're holding on to, but float the upper body upward. And then exhale, draw yourself down. So this form is head to knee pose. Obviously, it's just a suggestion, but that's the energy, is bowing upper body to lower body. So let's take a few more breaths here so the back body can have its full experience. On an inhalation, come all the way back up. Let the arms come overhead. And exhale, hands come down. Left leg's going to come out. Right foot's going to go inside. Inhale, let's find length. And take all that length, bow out and over the leg. Take the first few moments and just find that settling. Let the body open up where it can. Good. Then on this next in-breath, just lift up and away from the leg. And then follow the out-breath, head to knee. On the next inhalation, let's come all the way up. And exhale, down we go. Fantastic. Coming into a little seated balance. Go ahead and walk your heels in, let the knees bend. Coming into two forms of Navasana. So heavy the tail, find a little bit more of the back of the pelvis to find a place of balance. So legs are together, knees are bent, feet extended. If the low back has a tender story, keep one foot down. Let yourself have the support of the upper body. If we're curious, we can bring both feet up. We can release the gripping of the hands and extend them down the sides of the legs. Let the gaze be lifted over the tips of the toes and just hang out. Just see what you see, feel what you feel. And then lower back down, feet on the floor. Hug your shins, roll forward. And either do that exact same scenario, or if you're curious, you can start to extend a leg out as such or as such. And let's find 4 or 5 more breaths just right here. Again, take that gaze, lift it over the tips of the toes. Find the evenness of the breath. And then lower down. Hug yourself forward. Fantastic. Left leg is extended. Take the right foot across. And we're going to twist the opposite direction. Toes, take your left hand around your right leg. Take that right arm back, stroke it. Light on the fingertips behind you. Hug the knee in. Reach the navel across the top of the thigh. And just enjoy a nice, yummy stretch. And then return back to center. Extend the right leg long. Take the left leg, cross it over the right. Let that right arm wrap around it. Flex that right ankle just a wee bit so we can stabilize the leg. And then backstroke the left arm behind you onto fingertips. Good. Now, lift, rotate, hug, and take a nice twist. Hug that knee in. Let the spine rotate from the low waist up to the mid-back. And come back to center. So good. Extend both legs out. Let's take one more forward fold here because it's going to feel so good. Bend the knees as much as you need to. And let yourself reach up, out, and over. Drape your ribs on your thighs. And let your head come to rest on your knees or somewhere around there. Next inhalation, let's lift up out of the pocket of the knees. Extend the legs long and take a second round. Nice deep forward fold. Nothing to do here but just breathe. Just be aware of sensations and make the adjustments to move closer into balance. On your next in-breath, I want you to come all the way up. Sweep the arms overhead. And exhale. Let the hands come down. Good. Let's go ahead and scooch forward. Finding the middle of your mat. And just roll down onto your back. Let your pubic bone curl up just enough that you can feel the entirety of the spine on the mat. So that lumbar curve softens. We find length. And then just lightly tuck your shoulder blades underneath you. Beautiful. Reach the arms down towards the ankles. On an in-breath, I want you just to take the arms overhead. And then an out-breath, bring them back down. Inhale, they'll come back up. Exhale, they'll come back down. Beautiful. This time, all the way overhead. Let the backs of the hands rest on the floor. And then bend the elbows. Take the arms out like a field goal or a cactus out to the side. And I want you to press into the back of the hands, press into the outer elbows. And again, feel the scapula engage and let them nestle towards the spine. Good. Keep that sense of opening. Flatten the curve of the low back into the mat. Draw the elbows down towards the waist. And then bring your fingertips up. So now you kind of have like robot arms. Now press into the upper arm bones. Press into the soles of the feet. Find your breath When you take an inhalation, imagine you're being inflated with one of those big stability balls underneath your back and your pelvis. And we rise up into bridge. Good. Pretend that the upper arm bones are like a second set of feet. So these 4 points are pressing down. To lengthen the front body, reach the knees towards the front of your mat and feel a little bit more of the belly rising, chest opening, and maybe you feel a little sense of standing on the shoulders. Find one more breath here. Good. Next exhalation invites the spine to roll back down to the floor. Good. Release the arms all the way down. On the next inhalation, press into the soles of the feet. Roll the spine up. Reach your knees towards the front wall. Maybe interlace fingers underneath you. So you're going to find yourself walking your arm bones, kind of tucking them underneath the torso. Good. The tendency is to start to disengage the center of the body. Don't let that hub, the hara, lower down. Press into the soles of the feet. Find the rise, the lift of standing in shoulders and feet simultaneously. That allows the breath to inflate the belly. That feels so good. Let that belly be as big, fluffy, and puffy as you can. Try not to overgrip through your seat. Don't squeeze that tailbone too much. Let the press come through the soles of the feet, not the gripping of the gluteal group. So no tight butts here. Just strong legs. All right, next out breath. Unlace the fingers, roll the spine down. Hug the knees deliciously into your chest. Sometimes this is the practice we need, just laying still on the floor. Let's move through a few finishing forms, and then we'll do just that. So from this position, a couple of options. You can simply just do legs up the invisible wall. Let the arms come out like a T. Let your shoulders sink back onto the floor. You can also transition in bridge, put a block under your seat, and take the legs up in that way. Those of you who have an established shoulder stand practice, you can take varying forms of shoulder stand. Maybe it's just a gentle tuck. Maybe we start to extend. I'm going to have a much more pleasant voice to talk to you if I'm not holding an inversion. So you stay where you are. Explore that space. And find 5 more cycles of evening the breath out. So in this position, we're draining energy out of the legs. We're allowing that energy to come into the central circulation, to be expelled, to be cleansed. So that even exchange of the breath is like the pulsation, the drawing of energy into the center. One more full breath in, one more full breath out. Now the option here, either stay where you are, or we can start to take the legs over the head, coming into forms of Halasana. So we could take the toes all the way over the head, and we're inviting the hips to come over the shoulders as we advance the form. Not a requirement, but it just gives you a direction. For some of us, the story on the back body is very snug, so we don't have all this length. So soften the knees. Again, my voice is going to sound kind of funny right now. So soften the knees. Sometimes I even invite folks to stay supported in the shoulder stand, but bring knees towards the forehead. It's very soothing. So we're going to take 4 more breaths wherever you are. I'm going to move. You stay still. Even in and even out. Finding the yoga, finding the union. Now, to transition out of this deep fold, I want you to imagine you have this dinosaur tail at the very tip of your spine. And you're going to start rolling your spine down from the neck, the mid-back, the low back. And then you're going to uncurl that tail as you come onto the floor. Pause there for a few moments and just be in this state, be in this moment. Those of you who are familiar with Matsyasana, we'll take that as our final back bend. And if you're not familiar, go ahead and come up to your seat and we'll ease into it together. So those of you that already taken the form, again, just find that delicious opening of the heart and the lengthening of the crown of the head. Those of us who are easing into this, pretend that the beach is out there. I'm going to take my thumbs and just lightly tuck them below the gluteal crease, kind of where the underwear end. Then I'm going to come back onto my elbows for just an awkward moment. As soon as the forearms touch the ground, I'm going to lift my heart up, press into the lower arm bones, and then spill my head back. Now, for me, I have a neck story that makes this accessible. For some of us, we may not, and there's some fear attached to that. So you can take your stack of blankets and put it behind you if you want to work on lengthening through the throat. Otherwise, I can just stay right here. I can look down my nose, and I can draw my heart open. And take another breath or two wherever you are, and just enjoy. Maybe this is something new. Maybe there's a discovery that's happened. You haven't taken the time to ease into the form before. We're going to take an inhalation and press into the arm bones to rise up just enough to bring chin towards chest, heavy tail, and roll the spine all the way down. Take the arms out away from the side body. Separate the legs a little bit more. Let's pause here for a few moments. And let the body talk to us. Let the body give us some information, some feedback on if there's anything else that would offer us completion, a sense of balance. And if that's the case, take these next few moments. Maybe it's just a hugging of the knees, or taking happy baby, or doing some little rocks or some twists. Maybe you're like, golden, I'm ready for Savasana. So grab your blanket, put on your hoodie, your socks, whatever you need to be very comfortable. If you have a tender low back, tuck a blanket or a couch cushion underneath your knees. So this final form of Shavasana, it's the corpse pose. It's the death of the practice. Symbolically, it's representing a multitude of things, but if you think of it as it is giving you permission to surrender all that has been, to go into deep rest, and when you awaken from that place, you're open to what is. So it gives you permission almost to step through an energetic door, allowing yourself to release what you've been holding on to, and to step into this next moment with space and open awareness. So I'm going to leave you to your Shavasana. I hope you've created a space where you don't have to feel rushed or watch a clock. Ideally, if you had 10 to 15 minutes just to be in this form, it would offer such deep nourishing to your body-mind. So I invite you to surrender the weight of your bones into the earth. I invite you to surrender your breath. I invite you just to take on the energy of the placing of an ice cube on a warm surface, and you just can see the expansion, the softening, the melting. take the time that you need. I'm so grateful that you took the time to practice with me. I send my love, and may we all be well. Take care of others, and step forth with an open heart.